Kia ora. Welcome back to the Ins and Outs podcast. I'm Koen.
I'm Jemilah, and we're here to have casual and informative conversations about how to navigate the music industry in Aotearoa.
On this episode, we had a kōrero with Mazbou Q about the ins and outs of social media.
Mazbou Q is a producer, content creator, music mentor, and is also known as the rap scientist on TikTok and Instagram.
We talked about loads of things, including how to make the most of the different social media platforms, the big change coming to TikTok, and finding your audience while staying in your lane.
Let's get into it.
Well, welcome, Mazbou. It's super cool to have you on the podcast today. We're going to be talking about social media, of course, but we're both really curious to see how you would describe yourself in the music industry, and maybe more than just the music industry, I guess.
Yeah, so I see myself as an artist, producer, content creator, and music mentor. And yeah, I just dabble in a whole bunch of creative stuff revolving around music.
Epic. Yeah, it's a good little bio. I feel like sometimes it's hard to wrap up everything that you do into a small sentence. How do you spend most of your time on an average day?
There isn't really an average day. So I guess my days are, or my time is project based. So whatever is coming up, like if it's a gig coming up and I need to be preparing my live tracks and rehearsing, or if there's a presentation coming up and I need to be prepping for that, or if I'm producing for an artist or commercial and I need to be, if those deadlines are coming up, then I'll be doing that. So there are so many facets of what I do, and my days are literally just tailored to those things. But for example, like yesterday, I was doing a bunch of mixing work and I was tying some loose ends up on a top line I was doing. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
You must have to be pretty organized, like with your scheduling and calendar.
Yeah, you'd think that.
We'll try our best, Yeah. I feel like that's a real different thing about being a creative versus having a 9-to-5, is that you don't just wake up every day and have the same routine. You actually have to put a lot of focus into figuring out what a routine is amongst something that's ever changing.
Yeah, in order to get the most out of your time, you need to be more proactive with managing it. Than if you just had a regular 9-to-5.
For sure.
Hey, and for your different projects, you of course have different social media calendars and plans and such. And I guess that's what we're here to really dive into today is the social media game. What even is that? How do where do we even start? I guess, Jim, do you wanna? I don't know. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I think a good place to start is because there's obviously a world of social media, but there sort of tends to be a few main platforms that we're currently utilizing. And maybe you could describe to us what you feel like the differences between those different platforms and what kind of content fits in each space best.
So I think in order to answer that, you kind of had to have a look at like where the history of the platforms and sort of their purpose when they emerged. So, for example, we all know like Facebook was first, like in terms of the new era. We all know about MySpace and High Five and all that stuff. Like Facebook was like the sort of first of the new era of social media 2.0, if you want to be technical about it. But so that the whole ethos of Facebook was, let's provide a way to connect with our community, with our friends, with our family, stay in touch with them, connect with people we might have gone to school with, or we might have moved overseas, and so it provided a way to foster those connections. And it was common for us to post things like, "Yo, this is what I did today. This is what I had for breakfast," because it was about just sharing one's life. Instagram came along, and it was the same concept but in photo form. So it's like, here's a picture of what I ate. You know what I'm saying? Here's a picture of my cat today. But the whole thing behind it was, let's connect with our people. Now, as capitalism did what it did, it sort of transformed that, and the focus became more centered on money making, which means that like advertising became an essential element of both platforms, and thus businesses being on there and advertising their products became a thing. because, you know, if you're connected with the community as a business, you get to market your product. So these platforms started to become more creator oriented. So instead of just being someone on there who wants to connect with their friends and family, it's about, I've got a product, let me advertise it. And the way I'm going to advertise it is I'm going to create content. Now, this is what ushered in the kind of current era of social media, and how Instagram transformed, and how sort of TikTok emerged out of what was Musically. Basically, the idea that now these platforms are creator based, and the central point of them, at least from those who made the social media, is to monetize it. The idea is that you need to create value to keep people on the platform, right? So it means now Instagram is less about, let me share a video of my cat or my brunch, and it's more about what media am I sharing? How is that entertaining for people? How's that gripping or compelling for people? How's it going to keep them on the platform? How's that going to make them engage with me? And then potentially buy the product or whatever. How is that going to motivate? How's it going to motivate, or how are we going to motivate creators to potentially spend money to reach more of their audience? Because that's another thing, right? Before, we didn't have to pay a bunch of money just to get our stuff to our own following, but now we do. And so when TikTok kind of emerged at the height of this whole thing, TikTok was never a platform about let's just connect with people. It was always a platform about let's make entertaining media. So TikTok kind of led, it sort of jumped in where when that sort of phenomenon was really gaining traction. And then since it became such a massive and viral platform, like quite literally, all the other platforms were like, oh, we need to do this as well. So that's when, you know, Instagram started coming up with Reels, which was a very confusing time for everyone. Facebook started, you know, coming out with Reels, and everyone, you know, was coordinating onto this kind of short form video thing. And by the time, you know, that happened, all the stuff was about creating content creation, and creating value in order to keep people on the platform. So social media transformed from a place where you connect with people to entertaining people. And as creators, especially as musicians, I think we have to be aware of that, and we have to make sure that our existence on that platform. I mean, if we want to like maximize our efficacy on these platforms, we need to be aware of that being the point. So traditionally, the way that some musicians are on there being like, oh, hey, look, I've got a new song. This is what I've been doing today. Or here's some behind the scenes stuff. Doesn't work as well as it used to work, because again, it's less about sharing your life and more about creating value. So if you're going to share content like that, if we're going to share content that's about our lives, we have to format it in a way, or we have to present it in a way that is entertaining. And I think that's the challenge for a lot of us now. And we still have to first understand that, and then figure out how to actually do it. But yeah, TikTok and Instagram are obviously the two platforms where that is most important and prevalent.
We're kind of in the world of the short form video at the moment. I think that's challenging for a lot of people that are kind of in this in between stage. You know, a lot of people who are sort of like maybe in high school at the moment, sort of like been not born into that world, but like grown up with that being a thing. So it's not a lot more natural for them. Whereas even just people just 5 years out of high school in their 20s were still in that world of needing to create content, but it's like having that transition from being like, oh, I used to just be able to post a sick photo, and now I have to
do
explain everything in 7 seconds.
100%.
Yeah, it's definitely very different. And you're right that change came about pretty quickly. And TikTok was like, hey, let me just spearhead this. And they did it really well, to be honest. It's actually good to maybe mention like why you would maybe focus on, for instance, TikTok, some creators do really focus on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube Shorts or whatever. What's the difference, and why would someone focus on?
So TikTok is
different
principally a platform about organic spread. In sort of when Instagram, again, if we come back to the start of Instagram and Facebook, it was about connecting with your community. So when you shared a post, it supposedly went out to your follower base, because that's the point, right? Yeah, it went out to your community. TikTok was very upfront about not doing that. It was like, we're going to curate a feed based on interests, which means that the stuff that you're seeing is from people that you're not connected to. That's the whole point, because the whole point is like, you want this material to spread organically. So we're gonna show you stuff that from people that you're not connected to. So the reason why TikTok's very important for artists is that, well, if you want to expand your network, that's what TikTok is actually for.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Whereas Instagram, obviously Instagram's algorithm has sort of evolved to be more about that, but I think people still largely view Instagram as something where you share stuff to your people.
So Instagram's like connecting with people that you already are aware of you. And TikTok is more about expanding your audience beyond your own.
I think at the core,
following.
But even that is evolving. Like Reels now, like your Reels feed is very much like a TikTok FYP.
Yeah.
And a lot of people doing Reels are getting that reach outside of their thing. And I think, obviously Instagram's doing that to compete with TikTok. But then TikTok has other aspirations, like being a bit more like YouTube. I mean, we can talk about that. But at the core, it's more about expanding beyond your immediate sort of network.
I feel like even though you mentioned YouTube, it's funny, it is such a strong form of social media. It's almost like stood the test of time. Like it just stands, like people don't get as obsessed with it as they do, say, TikTok, but it's been around for a long time, and I think it will continue to be. Absolutely. It's like a place for longer form content.
But that's mostly because there's probably not another place as strongly for long form content, whereas now TikTok and Instagram and even like YouTube Shorts and Facebook Reels are competing for the same space. Whereas YouTube's like, well, you know, I've got my space.
I actually think I'm not too clued up on the behind the scenes of all this stuff, but in my opinion, I'd say that the foray of YouTube into the short form thing is probably a little bit of a distraction for them. Like, they don't need to do that. Currently they're not doing that too well, to be honest. Like, YouTube Shorts isn't a great experience for creators or viewers. So I think I feel like they should really stay in their lane. Like I honestly think they should stay in their lane. Like, everyone goes to YouTube if they want to watch a music video, if they want to watch a documentary, if they want to find some tutorial, you know, they've got that lane, and no one's taking it from. TikTok's trying, but they won't.
You mean the educational side of TikTok? Are you saying?
Well, I mean, in the sense that TikTok has been upfront about updating their algorithm to favoring longer form videos.
Oh, cool.
To not paying as much attention to hashtags and stuff, and encouraging longer captions to stoke SEO stuff. Because they want to be searchable, and they want to be. Of course. So they are coming for YouTube in that sense. I don't think they'll get there. No. Because I don't see there being an hour-long TikTok. You know,
there's like YouTube has like long-form content for TikTok is like a minute.
I mean,
that's long.
Or you want to live stream some massive event, 100% that's going to be on YouTube.
That's true. Yeah.
You know,
I think say if I'm having a screen time day, and I'm relaxing, I'll be watching YouTube on my laptop, and then I'll get up, go to do something else, and watch TikTok on my phone. I would very rarely choose to either watch TikTok on my laptop or YouTube on my phone because of that long form content. If anything's longer than like a few minutes, I don't really want to watch it portrait on my phone. I'd rather just sit down, have a cup of tea,
put the laptop
watch it on the big screen.
I mean, there are TV episodes on YouTube. You know, there are entire movies on YouTube.
Exactly.
You can stream people's albums on YouTube.
I think something about your phone's attention span is shorter, and it feels weird to be staring at your phone screen on one video for a long time.
Well, from a purely practical sense, Like sometimes you want to be watching YouTube and doing other stuff.
That's very true.
You need to,
Yeah,
if you're watching long videos on your phone and then someone messages you and you're like, oh crap, I need to respond to this.
Yeah. You have to kind of click completely out of that.
Or get out of this app and then click
no one
into
wants to
another
do
app.
that. No one wants to be doing that.
Very true. Yeah, that's a big part of it as well.
Yeah.
We like to be doing multiple things at once these days.
Yeah.
For sure.
How do you feel like, because you do all of the above, like especially Facebook and TikTok, say predominantly, but you've obviously built quite a following and community actually on TikTok. How do you feel? Was this an intentional thing, or do you feel like this sort of
it didn't start off as intentional, but it obviously I sort of rode the wave and saw the benefits of it. So I sort of quickly noticed that in order for you to succeed on TikTok, you needed to do one or more of a few things. You needed to provide entertainment, whether you make people laugh or you make people say wow, or you need to educate people, show them something they don't know that's intriguing to find out, some piece of information that they'd love to investigate more, or some skill that you can teach them. Or you need to create controversy. You need to air some opinions that are objectable and get people talking about things. So if you can do one of those things, that's what keeps people on the app. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do as a musician? How can I fit into one of those?
Yeah.
And it's sort of naturally, because I just I've always liked teaching and mentoring and stuff like that. I think it just came. I made a video one day that just explained how I approached a particular way of rapping in one of my songs, and that really took off. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like doing this, so let me just make
more.
Yeah. So I just kind of landed in that sort of education space.
Found your sort of
this works.
niche.
Yeah, this works. So I think the challenge for other artists who are trying to make TikTok work is figure out which one of those things are they trying to do. If you look at the artists who are doing very well on TikTok, there'll be people who have stunning voices. You can just listen to them sing all day.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, that's the wow factor. Or you have people who are really good at making skits.
They're hilarious.
They're hilarious. Artists who can use skits to sell their music. No, you don't get me wrong. You need to be a good musician as well. But you need one of these other things. Just being good is not good, because lots of people are good. Connor Price is the case study on the humor side of things. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a massive TikTok rapper who he started off as a TikTok rapper. Now he's just massive as a rapper. But he's really good at making I'd say low production skits. You know what I'm saying? So it's obvious that it's been filmed on a phone, but it's also clear that there's been a lot of planning, a lot of scripting, a lot of he can act well, and so there's a lot of entertainment value in that. But then he also writes amazing songs, so that's just an amazing synergy. And then there are other people who do the controversial stuff. They'll either write songs about things that are really get people talking, or they'll just say some controversial stuff.
I guess you want
definitely.
to maybe wrap that whole thing into one. You want people to interact, I guess, right? You want people to click on your profile and say hey, what else is this person talking about? Or what else is this? I want to hear more of this wild voice.
Well, we want people to interact. I think how artists need to be thinking is, how am I adding value to this person's life?
You
know what I'm saying? So I think
providing.
I think when you write songs and then you go on social media and you're your new song out now.
I don't care.
Pretty much. If I don't know who you are, I don't care.
Definitely.
Convince me why I should care. So that's where those other three things come in. And if I go to your page and you're doing something that makes me feel like I need to go back there, or makes me feel like you're the only person who's providing that thing for me, so that's where you start winning. But it's hard. It's really hard, because
a lot of
it's hard to find that thing.
Up.
Totally.
It's hard to find that thing.
I was just wanting to say, I feel like that's true, because you're also a consumer, and you witness that from a consumer's perspective.
We're all
what you're scrolling past. I sometimes end up watching the kind of content that literally doesn't relate to my life at all, but it's just interesting. Someone does a video on building something in Slovakia, and it's like 7 seconds long, and they say like click on part 2 to see what it looks like, and I'm like, I need to know. I need to know.
Like, so honestly, one of the most common comments I see in my stuff is, I'm not a rapper, I'm not even a musician at all, but like, that was cool. I have no idea what you're talking about, but that was cool. I'm like, sweet, you know. So yeah, like it does kind of stoke that strange curiosity that we all have, you know. Especially when it comes to like educational stuff. Sometimes we just like learning random pieces of information, or we just like watching people who are obviously very good at what they do, communicate what they do. In a way that makes you feel like you can do it too. Like the other comment that I get really often is like, man, you make me feel that I could just pick up my pen tomorrow and be a rapper. I'm like, you can't. But like, I'm glad that you, I'm glad that you feel that you can. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It can be tricky, I think, when you put a piece of content out there, because the reality is that all this stuff it feels complex, but it's probably quite simple, and you can probably tell when you look at your piece of content, like how engaging that content might be. And it can be a bit painful sometimes, at least in my experience, when you make a piece of content, you're like, kind of know that's not going to hit hard. But it sometimes takes, like, how do you navigate? Because you've put a lot of content out there as well. How do you navigate coming up with fresh and, like, new concepts and sort of keeping your audience engaged?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is trial and error, right? You start to pick up patterns. But I mean, like, a lot of you can go to my TikTok and see a lot of those videos have a lot of views, but for every one of those videos I can show you a private video that doesn't have much. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I make them private for branding purposes, because you know, but like, yeah, it is very much you just have to trial it. Some stuff hits, some stuff doesn't hit often. The stuff that hits might be the things that you don't often predict. Or sometimes just the throwaway stuff. Like sometimes I like really plan. I'm like, okay, today I'm going to do the research for this piece of material. I'm going to script it. Tomorrow I'm going to video it, going to edit it and all that. So, you know, I plan 2 days worth of time spending on making a piece of content. I post that video, it does okay. But then at the tail end of a day that I've been doing complete other stuff, I'm like, oh, I've got this idea for a quick like 15-second thing. Let me just film this, and then that will get like 300,000, 400,000 views. I'm like, man,
come on,
Well, but I think the challenge is here. You're not only fighting, I guess, for the attention of viewers. You're fighting against the algorithm. The algorithm is made by people with an agenda. So that's the thing. Like, your stuff might be good content, but if it's not considered good content by an algorithm or a group of people,
too bad. Yeah,
that sucks. You know, and it's kind of like if that content was just shown, then maybe it would have gone harder. But the algorithm has decided no. And when I say agenda, I mean, for example, I was talking earlier, like now TikTok is starting to favor long form video, right? So a lot of the stuff that used to go completely viral now is not getting any views. Like a few months ago, I was having a chat with a bunch of my sort of fellow creators. And I was like, yo, are you feeling the pinch of TikTok's new algorithm? They're like, yeah, like I'm basically not even doing TikTok anymore. It feels like a waste of time. That's what a lot of people were saying. And it's because the algorithm was going through a state of flux. And they were moving towards favoring new kinds of video. And because we weren't really aware of that, or we were having a hard time adjusting, we were getting penalized for doing what used to work.
Right. So you do the research and you, I guess, educate yourself on what is now the
thing.
That's what I was going to say. Like, you've got to really keep up with figuring out how things are changing.
Like TikTok's. I mean, and they've released statements on this. It's not like a complete black box. Like there are articles that TikTok has released and Instagram has released saying this is what we want. And for TikTok, a big one recently is like, we want videos over a minute or over a minute 30. We want that now. And we want big long captions, because for the
interesting.
we want high quality video. So a lot of the sort of really low quality phone stuff where you're just syncing something funny, like doing a lip sync or something really funny, well, like, that used to a lot of that stuff is not going.
That is really interesting. I mean, that's perfect for like the tutorials that you do.
It's good. Because my stuff has been like sort of on the higher quality end for a while. And I had definitely been through times where I'm like, man, I'm putting all this effort in to do this, and people who just get their phones out and do something silly for 5 seconds. They're getting more.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a real
But now
feeling.
it's kind of like now I'm
Which can be bitter.
I'm coming out on
Sometimes
top.
it's favorable, actually, if you
Yeah.
are somebody that's producing content that's like that. Yeah.
So like because it used to always be quantity over quality,
Yes.
almost, right? You're just pumping out, and like whatever doesn't do well, you just like sneaky take down. And after a week of living on there, it's like, it doesn't need to be on my account anymore. But I guess it's really awesome to see this longer form content being popularized. Because maybe now it will shift to people planning out their stuff a bit better, making it higher quality. Having less content but of higher quality.
I mean, it's when you think about it, sort of from a more abstract point of view, it makes a lot of sense. Like if you're trying to create a new product or a new service or something that required people and community, the first thing you want to do is just get people there. Get people there, which is a quantity thing. Like this seems unrelated, but it's very much related in my mind. So I had this idea of like an app that was similar to Trade Me, but more like a Borrow Me app. Essentially, like about lending and stuff. And I was like, and I talked to a few people about this idea. They're like, that's really cool. But then upon more discussion, we found actually the biggest challenge of getting people to use it is like the fact that when you get on there, you need immediately thousands of people to have their stuff available to lend.
I thought the same thing about like a ticketing app, like that's maybe a bit more popular, but like you need the people.
You need the people on there like immediately. It would be effective if immediately as you get on there are tons and tons of people willing to lend you stuff and you can borrow stuff. But unless
you draw in more people who are like, I can borrow all these things. Look at this.
Yeah, exactly. So you might design the app such that sure you can lend out like silly thing. Here's a cable. Here's like a friggin', But then when you get to a certain number of people, you almost and it becomes like saturated. You almost don't want to continue to not pollute, but dilute things with low quality things. So all of a sudden you start favoring more high quality products. You start focusing on instead of I want to borrow someone's multicolored pen, now I want to borrow a boat. Or now I want to borrow a car. Now I want to borrow, so it starts off as like all these, small items, and then it gets to more. So in that respect, it would make sense that TikTok is doing that, like just to get people on the platform. You just want anyone and everyone to be able to make videos. So you don't want to discriminate between people who've got like nice video gear and those who can only have a phone, right? So if you have a phone, sweet, we love it. We're going to promote raw and organic stuff, which means everyone and anyone can make content. Everyone's doing it all the time. People are making 5 to 6 videos a day. And we're getting people on the platform. Now that that platform is basically saturated, we want to make sure it's not diluted with all this.
And because it's existed for quite a while, content creators that were once doing it on their phone might also go, maybe I can invest in a camera and keep making content that's higher quality. Whereas if you just went on a random app one day, you're not going to go buy a camera to make content for that app.
No, well, that happens to me. Like I bought my own camera for content. Like, I was like, I want my content to look a bit better.
And I guess most phones are pretty insane now as well. And then it comes more to maybe educating yourself about, maybe even on the app, educating about framing.
Content creators are basically becoming like lay filmmakers now.
It's very true.
And a lot of it, in a sort of ironic or fourth wall breaking way, a lot of the content that's doing super well is content teaching how to be a filmmaker with your phone, right? Because
it was almost like a podcast.
Right. Because everyone wants to know how do I make my stuff look better? How do I make my stuff sound better?
So we've talked a lot about TikTok, but most of these themes probably overlap with other social media, even if it's not, say, the particular algorithmic things, but the sort of idea of content and consistency and making things that are high quality, because they do copy each other. So if TikTok's favoring longer form content, it's very likely that Instagram will sort of lean towards doing the same thing. Would you say that that's correct?
Well, it's interesting, right? Because Instagram's an interesting platform. So they have a tendency to go after every trending thing. Okay, so when they came out, they were just a photo app. Then you guys remember Vines?
Yes.
So Vines came out. Instagram was like, we'll just add video to our thing, and we'll take that.
You could only do 15-second videos on Instagram for so long. So if you posted, I used to post songs like 4 different 15-second videos of the song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Instagram was like, well, we've already got everyone in our app. I bet people are not going to want to have to manage 2 apps if they don't have to. So they added video, and then people went along to
Interesting.
right.
Sneaky,
Snapchat got really big. Instagram was like, you know what, I'm gonna stories. Now they weren't able to completely take Snapchat away, but a lot of people, especially a lot of older people, like older millennials and stuff, we were like, well, I don't
want another
Snapchat.
app.
Yeah,
It's funny,
exactly what you're
at the
saying.
beginning, people were like, ooh, Instagram's got stories. That's gross.
Yeah.
Like this Snapchat's thing, and literally 2 or 3 months later, everyone's like, "Oh, who uses Snapchat?"
Yeah.
It's funny how things
if you
change.
think about how like cumbersome Instagram is, like Instagram has stories, it has feed, it has reels, it has like does it still have that marketplace, or has that gone?
No.
Okay, right. Yeah.
I didn't even know it had marketplace.
Do you guys remember IGTV?
Yeah.
And there was a separate app for that at one point.
That was,
So that was them trying to come for the long form, but wide content.
Yeah.
I think that was where it just didn't go down well. Everyone's like, why are we doing this?
It may change again, though. If you're saying, like, if we're talking about, like, TikTok going that way, that route, maybe they'll bring back IGTV, and then, it's kind of already a familiar thing. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, I kind of rate Instagram for that. I feel like you can do lots of things in one place.
Yeah.
I like that you can... Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't... I mean, I'm probably also in that age bracket that's kind of in the middle somewhere. Because I rate TikTok, but I also like that I can message people on Instagram.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really probably be messaging someone on TikTok.
TikTok messaging is not good. So that's probably like Instagram DMs are like the text of now, right?
Yeah.
Which is really good for them.
Yeah.
It's really, really good for them.
That's super. Yeah, they cashed in on that, I think.
So that's one thing that they definitely have. But they also have like the status updates and the chat stuff now, which is very strange. But they're trying to do a lot. Some of it's good, some of it's not so good. But what I think they've successfully done is become kind of like the central social hub. Like they're like by default. So if you want to connect with someone, what's your Instagram? You don't really ask for their Facebook anymore.
No.
You don't ask for their TikTok unless they're a creator that does cool stuff.
But
if you just want to, connect with someone, like, what's your Instagram?
And I think that even though, we're all aware that photo content is dying out, sometimes you do just want to post a photo. And it's nice that you can do that on Instagram. That's, I've seen a lot of creatives talk about how that's dying out. Like, photos are not getting as much engagement as reels and stuff like that. But it's still like a nice hub for all of your content. I was sort of going to lead on to say, like, because Instagram Reels and Snapchat, TikTok are pretty similar. But would you cross-post things, or would you say that, like, would you, even if you, because obviously the apps like you to do things on their app. So say you film a video of yourself talking and you edit it in both different apps. Would you post the same video on both platforms, or would you actually go as far to curate different content for each platform?
There's a bit of both. So historically, I've found that TikTok content design for TikTok does well on Instagram, but content design for Instagram doesn't do well on TikTok.
Interesting.
I found that, and that's purely because of it comes back to the purpose of both apps and how Instagram's trying to play this catch up with TikTok.
Right.
But I think, because there's still a little bit of that. Just sharing your life with people on Instagram. There's still a little bit of, even though they're trying to move away from that, there's still a bit of that works. That does not work on TikTok. It does not work because you're not connecting with your community on TikTok. So that it's interesting, like that. Even though like my TikTok has quite a big following, it doesn't guarantee that my videos are going to get a lot of views. Right. And TikTok's been very upfront about that. They're like, just because a lot of people follow you doesn't mean that's not what we're about. Yeah. Which is weird because I'm like, then what is it other than a vanity metric then? Because
what's the point?
If you're not seeing videos from people that you're following, then what's the follow count for?
You have to work equally as hard with every video. You don't actually get like more return if you have more followers.
The only thing the followers is on TikTok is more of a reflection rather than how can I say, like a prescription. Like it's not on Instagram where if you have 100,000 followers, then you post something, it's probably going to go to 10%. So you're probably going to get at least this many people.
Yeah.
It ain't like that on TikTok. TikTok is like, if you have this many followers, it means this many people are interested in your stuff.
Yeah.
And it's
The
potentially
stuff that got you that many followers. So it's not like you can get that many followers and then post other stuff.
No.
And then that will do well, right?
Because that's another great sort of topic to veer off on is consistency, right? Because it's always, say we look back at like promoting your music and it's like, hey, do this silly dance with me to my song. And you kind of maybe don't want to do that, but you feel like the algorithm is like, well, I kind of have to do it to promote my music. And the next minute you're the person who did that silly dance. And now you have to keep doing silly dances. Like, what the hell? Like, can I just keep making music? Like, what's the, so it's tricky to, I don't know, I guess stay true to yourself while still fitting into the algorithm box.
Yeah,
right?
sort of talking about
100%.
like how to find your niche, but also how to be consistent with your content.
Yeah. While still targeting an audience that you would like to, or like, while still finding an audience.
Well, here's the thing. Social media used to largely be just a tool that you use to help get your music out there. But now it's not that. And if you keep seeing it as that, you'll just never do well.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the whole becoming a content creator thing has been impending for a long time. And a lot of artists have been kicking and screaming and just, no, I don't want to be a content creator. Fine, you don't have to be. But like, here's the reality. If you're not, you're going to get left behind.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to embrace, like if you want your music to get out there, you have to embrace being a content creator. You have to embrace that.
It's a whole other beast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing that you need to get good at.
Yeah.
You can get good at being a content creator. You know what I'm saying? Label, and even like, you can't even really go the traditional route anymore because even labels are like, well, like, I don't know if you saw that big drama with, what was her name? I forgot. She was a big artist and she made a TikTok complaining about how her label was like, well, until you make a viral TikTok, you can't release
I
the
did
song.
see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So even labels are like, well, our traditional means of marketing is now is now at the mercy of social media.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you need to get good at doing social media.
Yeah, I've actually heard of artists as well having discussions with record labels being like, well, I'm getting so many offers because I'm making great TikTok content and I'm actually doing a lot of the work now. So
you got a lot more.
Well, I'm actually like, why would I take your offer of me only getting 10% of what I get when I could negotiate with someone else and be like, actually, I'm doing a lot of the work.
A lot of labels aren't even offering deals anymore. They're just buying catalogs.
Yep.
Because they're like they realize that there's nothing that they can really offer them. If you have a gigantic TikTok and a gigantic Instagram and you're able to get your music to those people, what do you need a label for? You don't need a label. You don't need them. So labels are realizing that. And I think they're getting a bit, concerned. Oh, they have been concerned for a while. So they are having to radically switch their model and be like, okay, how can we keep making money? Because they're that's what they do.
Yeah, of course, they're business.
Right? So if they can buy out your catalog and then capitalize off your TikTok and Instagram fame, of course they're going to do that.
Great.
That's awesome for us. Yeah.
Just for, say, maybe TikTok and Instagram, because these are the two big ones that maybe we're constantly thinking about. What are some good, quick do's and don'ts, I guess, on creating content?
Yeah, maybe like, because obviously there's lots of niche things, but like in a generic sense, there's always going to be a few.
Well, the big don't is for artists is the whole new song out now post.
Yeah.
It does not work. Because people are looking for value, like you need to give value. So if you're announcing a new song, you need to get people, interacting with your stuff, engaging your stuff, thinking that what you're giving them is valuable, right? And then getting them that way. But just an announcement, the algorithm ain't going to care about that. So that's one of the big don'ts. Another big don't, and this is part of the platforms sort of saying these are the kinds of things we like and these are the kinds of things we don't like. Posting 16:9 stuff on Instagram and TikTok. Stop. like stop doing that. I know, like we all like, especially people who are passionate about film, they still love the widescreen stuff, but Instagram does not love it. They're very very clear about not loving it. It doesn't go well on Reels. Even on feed posts, it just ends up being a sliver of your feed. You want to take up as much screen real estate as you can.
Yes,
Of course.
very
So
much.
post everything 9:16. If you're doing like full on music videos, crop it. The other thing is, don't post full songs. Don't post like on Instagram. Don't like.
I guess leave that for your YouTube.
Yeah, save that for your YouTube. Just post like a 20-30 second snippet. Caption everything.
Yeah.
Like make sure things are like subtitled. That's really important as well, because most of what we consume is with the sound off, because we're looking at it when we shouldn't be, right?
So true.
Right.
We're on the bus, caption everything. Yeah, caption everything. And yeah, I'd say those are the main ones.
Yeah. That's like such tiny things that everyone can go and do, but so helpful. Yeah. Sometimes you just don't think about that stuff. You think, oh, who's going to read the captions because they're going to listen to the audio? But it's such a good point.
Yeah, you become a bit selfish, eh? You're like, oh, people are just going to listen, of course. Like, people are going to have the sound on.
You have to spoon feed people. Yeah.
Also, just like your videos need to be straight to the point.
Yeah.
Like if there's a song with a big intro, cut it. Don't post that intro.
Yeah.
You know, don't post, hey guys, don't post that. Just post the song. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just post it and get straight to the point.
Yeah.
That's really important, because we have such a small attention span now.
Yeah, man.
Like TikTok has made us do this.
Yeah.
So you literally, I think you have like 1.3 seconds or something to get people to
grab people.
You know what I'm saying? So as soon as something starts feeling like, you know, it's effort, let's go.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Got to get them fast and hard.
You do. Yeah.
Well, dude, thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
No worries.
I'm itching to make content actually at the moment.
I'm like revisiting conversations that I've had with like my band over the last couple of days of like, oh, should we do this? And then I was being like, oh, nah, I don't reckon. Or, you know, with a lot more clarity on why those things actually weren't good ideas, or why they were good ideas, and how we could make those.
Why we should do them, why we shouldn't do them.
And how we could like streamline that content and actually make content that's worth viewing, and not just content to just sort of throw out there, because it's just a waste of your time essentially.
It is.
If you're not going to be making content like you do, which is you have found what people like to listen to, and you keep creating content that's what you like to listen to, and not getting sidetracked by someone's viral dance video. You know, and actually being like, it's more important to spend potentially, I don't know, you can confirm this, like more important to spend more time diving into a niche and like, or finding your crowd and figuring out what you want to do and make that content evolve over time than to just do 1,000 different viral things.
100%. And also always asking yourself, why am I making this video, and what are people getting from this video? Like that, those two questions will filter out so many ideas that you have.
Yeah, man.
Like you might be like, oh yeah, this will look cool, but when you filter it through those questions, you're like, actually, no, there's not much point in this. You know? So if you filter everything through those two questions, the stuff that ends up getting through, like they usually are, you know,
good ideas.
Good ideas.
And it's good to question yourself. Well, not question yourself, but ask yourself those questions. Because otherwise you're just making content that you're not happy with, that no one really is happy with, and that you're not going to be able to keep up with. You know, like you got to look at it realistically and like, what can I sustainably keep making or whatever. You know?
Exactly. And if you do ask yourself those questions and you create that content, and it does do better because it's better content, you're actually going to probably be more motivated to make 100%. More content because it's going to do well.
You're proud and you care about that content.
Yeah, and other people will do. So then, you know, we all do love the numbers game a little bit. So if it does get more views, you probably aren't going to want to create more content. It's just the reality of things. Even if we like to pretend we don't care about who sees it, it does impact how you feel.
Yeah. And I guess the last thing for artists is don't sleep on LinkedIn, man. Don't sleep on LinkedIn because people who are on LinkedIn are on there for work. So if you're connected with music industry people, they're on there for music industry things. You know what I'm saying? So like I keep telling people, like I got one of my songs on ZM just by hitting up the program. On LinkedIn. I just messaged her. I'm like, hey, look, I got this song. She said, oh yeah, cool, check it out. I'm like, so I
don't think anyone
didn't
else
need
is
a
in that
radio
inbox,
plugin.
you know?
You know what I'm saying? So I've been spending thousands on PR to just do what I just did.
I think it's just because, like you say, because LinkedIn is a professional platform. Obviously, you need to be on there professionally, otherwise the whole platform's going to collapse. But if you approach someone professionally on a professional platform, they're going to assume that you're coming from a professional place, so they're more likely, I think, to engage with you.
Yeah.
Love that. Don't sleep on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
definitely. It takes a while to set up. I found
it does.
It's kind of like writing a whole nother CV, and it's like,
it is.
It
literally it's hard work. It's not just like a little Instagram
here's
bio.
my bio. Here's a couple of,
you fill out these surveys, and they have all these like, you can do literal like tests to verify that you're good at things. That's crazy to me.
Intense,
no, but it is really good. You just, especially posting your milestones and stuff, like stuff that you're proud of, that people then celebrate. That other people then see their friends celebrating you. They've probably already kind of seen your name in the scene because it's New Zealand and it's not a huge scene, so everybody kind of knows everybody.
It's like
anyway,
a professional dashboard.
Kind of, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook for events.
Facebook is good for events. Facebook will just keep chugging really slowly, I think, until it eventually dies out.
Well, I don't know if it's got a lot of time left because all of Gen X is on it. And they're not good. They don't care about any other platform.
Yeah,
and there's other things there, man. Like, no one's really doing the marketplace thing.
No, marketplace is amazing. Marketplace
it's amazing
tanked
there.
Trade Me. Tanked Trade Me.
Man.
Completely tanked it. Groups.
Groups.
Events.
And events. Events are huge.
Events are. I'm almost. I wouldn't be surprised if like Instagram tries to do an event.
They do.
In the
They have.
Oh, they do.
They have like a really.
You can add like a
tiny,
schedule
right?
thing.
Oh, that's true.
But I mean, they're
hard,
owned by the same people, so it makes sense.
It's true.
But it's not as easy because you can't.
It's not as obvious. Like, here's
Who's
all the
coming,
information. Here's everyone who's on the guest list. So all my friends are going. Oh, sweet, I'll go.
Yes, I'll go. Yep.
So I think Facebook it's just kind of like existing in this like space at the bottom that like no one will completely ignore it, but no one will focus on it, and it just has its qualities that people use. People probably use Instagram and TikTok more, but
again, it's stayed in that thing of how do I connect with my people. Right, like all our parents on there.
Definitely.
That's how they can.
And if you do a post like on your band page, like dropped a new song and probably get like 2 likes. But if you post on your personal page, like I'm so proud of my band. But if you post on your personal page, like oh my gosh, so proud of all the hard work I've been putting into this thing, blah 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 blah.
Right?
Then
all your friends are like,
and all your mum's friends are like, oh my god, so cool.
By the way, can you call your auntie because she? I'll put that on that post.
But it really depends on your audience as well. Like if you are an artist and you want to promote your music to a younger audience, Facebook's not the place. But if you're maybe writing country music, like there's a whole audience on Facebook. You know what I mean? Like there's the older crowd that will come to your shows and will be buying merch or your CDs if you're printing out CDs. But it totally is.
I think we really knock an older audience. We think, like we really want to get the young people. Obviously, everyone has that mentality, but it's your mom's friends that are going to come to your shows and like buy your stuff and like show everybody your song on YouTube. Like it's your aunties and stuff that are like, I showed my friends, and maybe that's not doing
no, but it's true. Like I think well, the thing is for like millennials is that we still think we're young.
So
but, you know what I'm saying? But we especially like the older millennials, we're not. We ain't anymore. We're like you know what I'm saying? Like the younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha, they're like, you guys are old. Like y'all don't know, like y'all don't know what we listen to. Y'all don't know what we like. You know what I'm saying? Like and so I think our mistake is
from a mile away.
Our mistake has been like, we need to get the young. You don't need to get the young.
No,
people.
you don't.
No, you need to get your people. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, that is like preach.
So
like that is
true.
a statement. Like find your people. Don't be trying to find someone else's crowd just because someone else is doing well with certain people.
Yeah, like if it's obvious that they, you can keep trying, but like
they don't care.
They don't care. They will they will just say like, nah, man, I don't give a shit about like
right, yeah, and they'll honestly respect you more if you just stay in your lane. Like people, okay, like Jay-Z is what 40, 45?
Gosh, I don't know.
He's just Jay-Z's last album was very, very Jay-Z. He wasn't trying to be like new school rap or anything like that. He's like, I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. The people our age that grew up with that music, we loved it.
Yeah.
And then the young people respect it. They might not enjoy it, but they respect him for being like, an OG.
Yeah.
So I think as like millennials, older millennials, like we just need to be like, oh, look, let's stay in our lane in that respect,
Yeah.
And just make music for our people.
And don't go and change your content, your music, just to try and gain a crowd that probably
does not care.
Isn't
does not care. That sees you as their parents.
It's going to be hard as well. It's going to be so much easier if you just make content for an audience that already likes your content and just keep doing that. Keep feeding that, and that will grow.
Like I do mentoring in high schools, and I had a very sobering conversation with one of the kids there. It was like, so what kind of rap do you listen to? And I was like, oh yeah, here are the rappers I listen to. He was like, oh true. Yeah, my dad listens to a lot of rap from the 1900s as well. I was like, what did you just call it? I was like, can you say that again? Yeah, like 1900s rap. I'm like,
oh my god. That's true, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So all that stuff is like 30 years old now.
Yes. It is.
The 1900s.
I listen to a lot of funk, and it's like, oh yeah, that's ancient now.
Yeah.
Actually. Shit. Ancient.
Getting old.
Or one of the things that I realized is like the music that we listened to in high school, that we would still go to a party and be like, yeah, this bangs. Like the young generation's like, no, man.
I don't want none of that.
Yeah, no. And the crazy thing is like, all the stuff that came out in the 2000s that we vibe now, when in the 2000s, that was people listening to 80s music.
Yeah.
Right? That's crazy. It's the equivalent of people listening to 80s music in the 2000s.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what we're vibing. I still listen to 50 Cent in the club and I'm like, yo, this beat bangs. That's like me listening to, some 80s stuff in the 2000s being like, this bangs, and trying to convince people that bangs.
Yeah,
no, man. No matter what you say.
I think it bangs in a retro kind of way. It's not actually cool. I know,
Retro kind of way. I feel like a good takeaway from this conversation, just stay in your lane. Respectively, stay in your lane.
Honestly.
Stay in your lane. Yeah, and it'll be much easier to keep making content that you
that you enjoy and that people enjoy.
You enjoy and that your audience will enjoy.
Yeah, thanks so much for chatting to us and
no worries. Enlightening
us with all things social media. I appreciate it.
Cool.